The first story. It was unusually dark as I pulled into my driveway. As I climbed out of my car, it was immediately apparent that something was off. Gone were the chirps of the birds that usually greeted me on my return home. What's more, the air was completely dead. I'd never felt anything like it. No breeze, no sounds, just complete and total serenity. I glanced at my watch, 3:30 a.m. I'd been up for 23 fucking hours. Looking back, it was a miracle I managed to get home in one piece. The only thing I could think of doing at that moment was bursting open my front door, jumping on the couch, and drifting off to the sweet lullaby of shitty Hallmark movie reruns. I did just that. The soft embrace of my couch as I fell onto it was majestic. I grabbed the remote and switched on my box set. The dim light of the TV screen bathed the room in a cold, pale glow. I flipped through the channels, my finger tapping the remote in rhythm with my thumping headache. Pretty much every channel I flicked past was out of service. It made sense. It was the early hours of the morning, after all. I persisted. Channel 398, out of service. Flick, channel 399, out of service. Flick. At that moment, my blood ran as cold as ice. It was subtle at first. I thought it was just a glitch or a trick of the light. But as I looked closer, it became clearer, and I realized that there was a face protruding from my TV screen. The glass was perfectly formed around the face's features. It was as if somebody had pushed their head into a sheet of spandex. It was completely expressionless, save for a faint, toothless grin. I blinked and rubbed my eyes, hoping to God that whatever was in front of me was the result of some kind of intense sleep deprivation. It remained, staring straight back at me, unmoving, still with that same devilish grin. I shot up from the couch. My heart was racing as I scrambled to my feet and bolted for the front door, desperate to get away from whatever the hell was in the room with me. But just as I was about to kick my door down, I heard a voice, a faint, almost melodic whisper from the television. "Stay." My heart sank. The voice was terrible, hoarse, and definitely not human. I was frozen, dumb, petrified to turn around, but unable to twist the doorknob I was grasping so tightly. I felt like crying. Then the voice repeated itself. "Stay, watch." Against all of my good judgment, I found myself drawn back into my living room. Upon returning, the face remained larger and sticking further out from my television. Its empty eye sockets boring deep into my soul. The grin had grown wider, more malicious. It was a truly horrific sight. I wanted to cry out, to yell at it to go away, to get the fuck out of my house and never come back. Those words never came, though. It was as if my voice box had been taken. All I could do was stand there and watch as it sneered at me. I stumbled to the couch and grabbed my phone. The time, 3:30 a.m. I swiped up to unlock, but it didn't work. I shot my gaze back to the TV. Its grin had grown wider, more menacing, and this time it had teeth. They were sharp, mismatched, and crooked, but they were perhaps the only human feature it had. I looked back down at my phone and caught a glimpse of my reflection in the glass. That's when I realized it took my mouth. I tried to yell, tried to scream, but only muffled cries permeated the barrier of flesh that stood where my mouth once was. I looked up again. The face was getting closer.
I retreated back, tears streaming down my face as I stared at the grotesque visage before me.
It spoke again.
Sit, listen.
My body trembled uncontrollably. Against every instinct telling me to get out of there, I was unable to resist its command. As I sat, the voice continued. What it said, I am unable to repeat. It spoke of terrible things, unspeakable horrors, pain and suffering beyond my comprehension. Each sentence punctuated by foul, guttural cackles that reverberated through the room. It seemed to speak for an eternity. Then, it started to give me instructions. It told me to write, tell others of my experience. It wants you to tune in, to listen what it has to say. But I beg you, when you see it emerging from within your television screen, run. Get as far away as you can. For if it has taken my mouth, who knows what it may take next. The second story. For the last 2 years, I've been secretly employed by the US government for locating and retrieving alien spacecraft. Only 4 people, including me, work at Site 13. Site 13 is located in the deserts of New Mexico and is where work really gets done, not Area 51. The worst part is that no one knows what happens there. It's only the 3 other guys and me. All of us have sworn to secrecy, and we've seen what happens when we tell anyone. Doesn't matter how close, but that doesn't matter now. I think it was just a month after we sent out a message that we got our first response. I was the one that was first on site. All of us get an urgent call from our boss, whom we don't know the name of, telling us to arrive on site immediately. I soon found out why. We were being sent a message, a decipherable one. It was slow and didn't work all the time, but it was doing the job. It took maybe 2 hours for the first sentence to be deciphered. We've seen your call. That was when we knew it was real. The first, truly readable transmission was received on that day. Definite proof that there was organisms in the universe that could comprehend things like we can. The protocol fell under a level 4, so the 3 crew members went out to get more specialists on site. I was the one that had to help decipher the rest of the message. That first hit of adrenaline was what helped keep me awake in the beginning. But it takes 2, 3 hours to decipher a sentence, and all of that is heavily dependent on a number of factors. And after a while, I fell asleep. Obviously not my proudest moment. But we don't get a lot of sleep in this field of work. I woke up at 2 a.m. the next morning to the alarms blaring, piercing my ears the second they went off. I checked my phone to see what time it is, and immediately checked the message, trying to read it despite the alarm. But this time, it said something different. Corrected message. This is not a test. Your species is scaled as a 4/5 on our CPAC scale. We are the dominant species, and therefore must not let any threats go by. In accordance to the EDBEPK guidelines, we will be arriving in 1 day for your planet, where we will kill all species in your planet, and will use your home to habit our ever-growing empire. Please, do not fight back. I couldn't believe my eyes. I immediately ran for the doors, only to find out that the entire facility is on lockdown. After checking the files, I was able to find the shutdown code and quickly punched it in. It worked. I ran to the firearms section and grabbed any and all weapons I could grab and deployed an emergency exit vehicle and drove as far as possible. It's been 2 hours, as a notification that my house has been broken into. I checked the footage, only to see a huge creature with 6 arms tearing apart my house. As I zoom in, the creature jerks its head toward the camera before it releases its claws towards my camera, and the screen turned black. It's been 6 hours since the incident. I've ran out of gas and am stuck in the middle of nowhere. I'm writing this as a warning to anyone who sees this. They're coming, and now all you can do is pray